Hi, I'm Roseanna from Moara Crochet, and today I'm going to be talking with you all about heirloom crochet. This year I'm going to make my YouTube all about crochet, and we're going to talk about topics and crochet techniques, my patterns, other patterns, free patterns. And so today I'm going to cover one of the topics which I've wanted to talk about for a long time, but I've just never really had the time or the space to do it. But this year I'm making sure I make the time to talk with you about crochet. So as I said, today's topic is all about heirloom crochet, which in actual fact could cover into lots of different crafts if you just put the word heirloom in front. But today I'm going to concentrate just on crochet. So it got me thinking, what is heirloom crochet and what does it mean? What is a piece of heirloom crochet? What defines it to be an heirloom? And so I started to do a bit of research, and I came across some really nice quotes which I want to share with you now. So the first thing I wrote in was, what is heirloom crochet? And this is one of the responses that came back through Google onto another blog. Anything that is made with good quality material like organic cotton with a classic design and superior workmanship. Now this is one of the defining points which I find, in my opinion, of heirloom crochet. So for me, heirloom crochet needs to be something that is designed to last. So this isn't about anything fast or linking onto fast fashion. This is something that is made with the idea to last years, maybe even decades, maybe even to the next generation. So for me, in that respect, it has to be made from a natural material. So this could be cotton or linen or flax, silk, or even onto animal fibers such as wool, alpaca, yak. Those are the fibers that I would turn to if I wanted to create something that I want to last years. And the reason I would turn to these fibers is because these are fibers that I know will last the test of time. Fibers which I know will get better with age, are good at washing. Sometimes they need a bit of care, but I know these fibers are gonna stay well structured. I wouldn't turn to anything that has plastic in. So for me, in my opinion, and the same opinion as this person, a piece of heirloom crochet has to be made from a higher quality material. So this can be animal fiber or plant fiber. So a second quote which came up, which I thought was really nice, was about heirloom quilts. Heirloom quilts are one of a kind and completely handcrafted. How do we do it? With linen, reclaimed wool, and about 50 billion stitches. It's no longer predestined to become some sort of pet blanket or anything to go into a landfill. So again, saying it needs to be of a high quality material, but it's also something that's made by hand. It's something that has got a billion stitches in it, which can be very true with crochet, because with crochet or knitting or quilting, you have to do each one of these stitches by hand. So for me, it's something that is handmade and made to last. So I've brought some of my heirloom crochet and what I class as heirloom crochet with me today. And for me, my piece has to have a use. And this is what I find with a lot of heirloom pieces. These are pieces which have been made with a function. And a fantastic example of this is a baby's first blanket. It's made with somebody in mind, with somebody who's going to use it every day. And it's made to last. And some blankets which people make are already thinking about the next generation. So I remember a story from my nana when she was young. Her friend was having a baby. and my Nana asked a friend, saying, please, can you knit me a blanket? And her friend said, of course, I'll knit her a blanket. And she knit her this beautiful, beautiful blanket. And time passed, the baby grew up, the baby became a woman, and then had her own child. And then when my Nana was in her 60s, the same child, she'd had the blanket, came up to her and said, Anne, I would like to say thank you so much for the baby blanket you got made for me when I was a child, that I have used it on my baby. And that's what heirloom is. It's when it can go from one generation to the next and it lasts. And I feel that's such a beautiful story, and these are the ideas which are behind pieces that are made for decades, for generations, things that will get passed on. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about heirloom crochet. Now I'm going to show you some of the examples that I have got, which have been given to me, found, or even made by myself. So as we were talking about classic blankets, this is the first piece of crochet I ever fell in love with. Now, just before we go on, at the moment somebody is actually doing some work on the house, so if there is a buzzing sound in the background, I am sorry about that, and I will try to adjust the audio when I do the editing. So please forgive me for the noise. Okay, so this is the first piece of crochet that I ever bought and I loved. And I actually found this crochet blanket in a junk shop for £3. And I was so upset that I found this in a barrel right at the bottom. It was smelling a bit old and musty. And I was so upset that somebody left this. And it was just sat there. And it was only £3. I couldn't believe it. And this is made from cotton. And I don't know if this was a bedspread or a tablecloth. But I just fell in love with this piece. And I was amazed at the teeny tiny stitches that have been used to make this amazing piece of crochet. And for me, I couldn't leave it. I had to take it. For £3, somebody has made this with so much skill, so much time, and that's before the price of the materials. So this is my first piece of crochet that I ever bought, and this was long before I knew how to crochet. And I like to think that the person who made this can know that somebody out there really loves their work, and it's respected, and it's a piece of history through fabric. Now, as I said, this is heirloom, and as you can see, there are some holes from what's happened over time, and honestly, I should fix this, and I think I'll do a video with you about how I will fix this. I can do a little video and show you how you can repair an old piece. And as you can see, some of the crochet is falling. So I will do a video in the future on how I will fix this lovely piece. So this was my first ever piece of crochet, and she's very well loved, apart from the little bits of work. And I think this is what really inspired me to go on to do crochet in the future. So this is my first ever piece. Now going on to pieces that have been passed from generation. This piece is from my Nana. Now my Nana sadly passed away 8 years ago now, and this is one of the very, very few pieces I managed to get from my Nana. My Nana was not a crafter. She wasn't crafty at all. She used to say in her sewing lessons in school, she was so good at sewing that when she had to sew a button onto a shirt, she would sew it to the shirt and to her skirt at the same time. So she wasn't the best crafter. But this was one of the pieces I managed to get from her house. And this is a mix of embroidery and crochet. And this is also, I believe, a tablecloth. And it has beautiful bordé anglais in the middle. And then this beautiful lace-like crochet along the edgings. So every time I see this, I get reminded of my Nana. And my Nana was very modern. This was an unusual piece for her to have in a house. But it does remind me of my Nana. And that's what I think the pieces should do. It should remind you of somebody or maybe an era. Give you memories. So those are the two pieces of heirloom that I own, which are not made by me. So now I'm going to show you some of the pieces that I've made, which I've made to think about the future that I pass on to my daughter, and I hope she'll like them. So one of the quotes that was written down from one of my research was that heirloom crochet has to be something that is a traditional design. Now, I don't fall into this school of belief because I think traditional design is up to the person who makes it. So the next piece I have made is a scarf. And as you can see, this scarf is not a traditional granny square design. It's not a simple like zigzag afghan. This is quite a modern design, which I was inspired by a crochet artist called Sophie Digard. And she makes the most amazing pieces of crochet made from the tiniest, finest yarn, and it always reminds me of the artist Gustav Klimt, when all the pieces are melded together, but they're tiny, and these pieces meld together to create a bigger picture. And it's an artist that I like, and it also reminds me of my mum, who also loves the same artist. And so I wanted to create a similar piece to Sophie Digard's crochet. One, because I can't afford her work. I wish I could. There are some beautiful, beautiful delicate scarves, but it's out of my price pocket. So what do you do when you can't afford? You make. So this scarf was made all the way through the pandemic. And I have made this from a mix of alpaca and silk yarn from Malabrigo, and created this really, really delicate scarf. So I'm very pleased with this piece of work. It's very light. It's, with it being alpaca as well, I know this is going to last. It's going to last years. And I sew every single motif in as I do it. So all my ends are tied in beautifully, and when the cooler season comes, I will start wearing this again. I wish I'd made it double the size of what it was, but it was so much work just to get it to this. And to be honest, I actually ran out of yarn. So this is what I hope will be my heirloom scarf, which maybe my little one will like when she's older. So for me, like I said, for me, it doesn't need to be the traditional design. It can be a design that you like. So this is my heirloom scarf. Now, the second piece I have made is also another piece of clothing. And again, this was made during the pandemic. That was a time when I felt I had a lot of time to crochet because I needed something to keep my hands busy and keep my mind off reality. And I created this cardigan coat, which was inspired by Downton Abbey. There is an episode where Lady Grantham, is it Lady? The Nana, she's wearing the most beautiful lace coat. So I've tried to replicate this idea into crochet, and again I've used a really fine yarn, and this time I have used a Egyptian cotton yarn, and I created this coat which I love to wear in the autumn, and it's made by lots and lots of little circle motifs, and then tiny little circle motifs which connect in the bigger ones, and this will go down to my knees. And I love wearing this with a white t-shirt and jeans and boots with this lace coat on top. And I'm quite tall, so it has very long sleeves. And then a little tie. I won't put it on now because it doesn't fit very well over this shirt. And little tie at the front. And then I've added a little scallop edging all the way along to the bottom and around the sleeves. So those are the two pieces of heirloom crochet that I have made so far, with the aim of making more. I have actually made a second version of this in blue because I love this jacket so much. If I get a chance, I'll throw in some videos of me wearing these items. One of the things I was reading about when I was doing some research was a lady who had actually inherited some pieces from her husband's mom. And she had managed to inherit a few of these pieces. And from one crafter to the next, it was very comforting and inspiring to read her comments, because her comments were, "I've never known this lady, yet through seeing and understanding every single stitch that she has made with love, I can understand as a crafter and feel I can also connect with this person who is no longer living." And I think that is such a wonderful thing to take away from heirloom crochet or heirloom pieces, is that your skill, your craft and your love will live on into the next generation, and there will be somebody out there, whether it be a family member or even somebody completely disconnected from you directly, who will appreciate and love your work. So I'm going to bring this video to an end, and I hope you've enjoyed this little talk. And if you have any comments or would like to share your work, it would be lovely to see. Send me an email to info@Moara Crochet, or leave a comment down below. You can also tag me on Instagram, and I would love to see your work. So I'm going to bring this video to a close, and I'm going to love you and leave you, and I will see you in the next video.